It's time for a new era in the NASA RallyCross Challenges. Hello everyone, welcome to round number 1 of the 2018B NASA RallyCross Challenge season presented by AmSoil, as it's our first event on the iRacing.com simulation after 6 years and over 120 races of running on the NASCAR 2003 simulation. As it's Josh Mertz up in the commentary box, bringing you the call as always for the Automotive Sports Network here today, and we have a slew of changes coming for this season. As for 2018B, all the old tracks are gone, except for Indianapolis, which we saw a couple seasons ago, and we are back at Daytona, which we ran last season. However, there are 2 formats now for the Daytona circuit. We are on the long circuit. We ran the short circuit last season, and then we are going to Indianapolis, Iowa, Sonoma, and Phoenix for the Rallycross tracks, and the long-awaited endurance rounds are back this season. We're going to have 4 of those, but they're going to be a little bit different this time around, as previously we've raced on Riverside, Island Rally, Aspen, tracks of that length, but now they are all going to be all asphalt, just like the Stadium Super Truck Series, so that should be very entertaining. All asphalt, no jumps, no dirt, so we'll really see these rally cars work on a full asphalt circuit. Before we jump into it, here's today's format. 12 cars have arrived to the circuit for the first Gen 4, as they are called, regulations race here at Daytona. Returning in 2018B to defend his second Drivers' Championship is Philip Kraus, returning to car number 1 after defeating his teammate Josh Mertz, who goes back to car number 2 at the end of 2018A. We have seen Philip Kraus be on the podium the last 29 races in the NASA Rallycross Challenge, dating back to 2017B Great Britain. That was at Liddon Hill, when the Canadian did not make that race. But for the last several seasons, it has been Josh Mertz, Philip Kraus, and Chris Wetz. We always know that Chris Wetz has been a force in the NASA Rallycross Challenge, but it's going to be interesting, as now we are running new cars. Subaru still supports MRT. There was a really big rumor that MRT would not be running Subarus, but they were able to get the new WRX taken care of, and we are on track here today. The second manufacturer team, for the longest time, it was MRT and Revolution Racing, and Revolution Racing has returned. Chris Wetz in car number 23, and Dylan Livengood in car number 51. 2 of the big changes for this Colorado-based squad. No longer Mitsubishis. For the foreseeable future, they will be running Ford Fiestas for the squad. It's going to be very interesting to see how they adapt from the long wheel-based Mitsubishi Lancers and the very synonymous Revolution Racing and Mitsubishi relationship. That is crazy to think about. But we're going back, and they are running the Ford Fiesta. Tiny little hatchback, and we'll have to see what Wetz and Livengood can do. Now, Dylan Livengood is returning to the circuit. We saw him in Vancouver last season. He was in the infield as a spectator after his unrelated accident at his day job at the storage facility in Denver, Colorado. The Canadian did suffer a mild concussion and whiplash, so he has been much slower to speak in the paddock. He's had to wear a couple pairs of sunglasses, but medically cleared for today's race, and he was only a couple tenths off the leaders. So it's unsure what the former 4-time champion and 13-time race winner will be able to do today, but hopefully Dylan Livengood will be able to be competitive. Moving on and returning to the NASA Rallycross Challenge will be Doug Denice and Cody Erdman. Denice, a 2-time Privateer Cup winner, and Cody Erdman, the 2-time overall drivers champion in 2016 and 17A when he ran for Subaru MRT. We haven't seen Erdman for a couple seasons, but he will be back in his Area 52 car this season, now running a Ford Focus, as Doug Denice also moves from Subaru to Ford. The newcomers: Last Lap Motorsports, Matt and Ray Kingsbury from the Northeast. Not much is known about these guys for the NASA Rallycross contingent, along with Jacob Harberts, the 3rd car for Last Lap Motorsports. We will see those 2 running for constructor points, and Harberts will run part-time in the Privateer Cup. We also have Egyptian Marwan Mafta making his debut for the Grid Kings, along with Connor Parise and Tim Rengers. Parise and Mafta will run Subarus, and Rengers will run a Ford. So much to talk about here in the NASA Rallycross Challenge, but so little time before we get going. Let's go on board with Jacob Harberts in car number 80 here at Daytona. So down into turn number 1 is Jacob Harberts in the Ford Fiesta for Last Lap Motorsports, passing the start-finish line through the right-left chicane. You don't want to clip the tire barriers. You want to get as close as you can over the jump. Make sure you land it smooth, otherwise you'll break the suspension through the left and the right. Rounding this very slow double apex dirt corner, and it'll spit you back out onto the asphalt. 4th gear, 5th gear, over the jump. Be careful of the merge there, and back out onto the oval for just a moment. Very tight hairpin, nearly 2 wheels, very easy to get wrong. 4th gear, back onto the pavement, and it spits you back out through the chicane on the road course. The right, the left, past the grid. The Joker on the right-hand side there, down to turn 1. And this track is racy with these Gen 4 cars, and that was a lap at Daytona. So just like previous seasons, the winner will transfer out of this 6-lap Joker 1's quarterfinal. We're going to have Matt Kingsbury, Ray Kingsbury, Connor Parise, and Dylan Livingood. So 3 newcomers, and the 4-time champion and 13-time race winner. 3 Fords and a Subaru getting ready to go for our first quarterfinal. The light process is so much longer than it previously was. These guys have revved these engines for 15 to 20 seconds before the lights go out. Revving them up, getting ready to go for the first quarterfinal of the Gen 4 regulations. Who will get the first victory on iRacing? Green flag, off the line. Livingood does not get the jump. We thought he'd put his name in the record books for the first hole shot, but he does not. Nearly contact with him and Parise, and he hits the tire barrier and send the 51 out of it as we begin the first lap of the race. It's going to be Matt battling his brother. Looks like Matt runs it wide and misses the jump. No harm done. He'll have to just give up a little bit of time. Ray Kingsbury second. Third is Matt, and 4th is Livingood. But the brothers are battling, and Ray nearly puts it on his lid, 2-wheeling in the 25. And Connor Parise loves this already, as this guy was a second faster than the rest of the field. And now look at the gap he has already into the hairpin, the final corner for the first time. And exiting the first lap, Parise leads in the 11, and Jokers are now allowed. This was a huge strategy point a couple seasons ago. And we did see a couple drivers disqualified from previous events because they did Joker on the first lap of the race. So it's going to be interesting to see if any of these newcomers, as they're used to iRacing's Heat, LCQ, and Final format, will get tripped up here in NASA. And the level of traction that this 11 car has is ridiculous. He was a second faster than the MRT Subarus. Identical cars, but definitely much quicker is Parise, as he Jokers on the first available opportunity at the end of the second lap. He runs a 39.2 to Matt Kingsbury. Crossing the line at the end of the second lap will be a 42.2. So 3 seconds faster is the Joker, but it's a little tricky to get right, because if you get it, if you lock up the brakes, and it's very easy to do in these new cars, you can be spit off the track. As the Subarus, especially, Kraus and Mertz reported that the brake bias is so off on those Subarus, you will be spit off the track regardless of what you do. As coming to the end of the third lap and cross flag for Connor Parise in car number 11, he has been uncontested so far in this quarterfinal. We'll have to find Matt Kingsbury, who Jokers, his brother Ray, I believe, who Jokered last lap, and Livingood struggling in the 51. As like I said, he was medically cleared, but it's going to be interesting to see. We're coming at 2 to go. And Parise ran a 41.1, much faster than the rest of the field. And the Vuzian Racing crew, like I mentioned, one of the fastest guys on the iRacing service when it comes to Rallycross, did compete in the Road to Pro, I do believe. And definitely proving why he was there. 2 to go in the quarterfinal. Remember, he does get a bonus point as the rules have been tweaked in anticipation of a potential format change, as it was talked about earlier on in the weekend, that NASA might go back to the former heat races, LCQ, and final race length. But we'll have to see in the coming days. But other than that, Paris will get a bonus point if he can hold on for one more lap here in Daytona, as Joker was already taken by the 11 and we begin the white flag. Let's go back. Living Good still in fourth, and the brothers are battling for second. But this means nothing. Remember, in NASA, this means nothing. Only the winner transfers out of the quarterfinals, the semifinal. We will have 3 drivers transfer out of the LCQ. That's the first time that that's happened since 2016A Aspen. Brothers getting close, but they're not going to have anything for this man, as he will put his name in the record book, drifting it through the final corner. Connor Paris is the first quarterfinal victor of NASA Rallycross on iRacing. As you saw in the background, the Kingsbury brothers battling to the line. Ray will Joker on the last lap, beating his brother Matt. Second place goes to Ray Kingsbury. Third place is Matt. And Dylan Livingood brings it home in the 4th spot. So we've got 3 Subarus. It's Tim Rengers, defending champion Philip Kraus, Marwan Mafta, and in the background, Doug Denice. Quarterfinal 2, getting ready to go green here in Daytona. Winner transfers once again and joins Paris in the final. Green flag. Looks like Mafta jumped the start a little bit. We'll have to see from race control what will be said as the Egyptian leads us into turn 1. Car number 1, red plate, position number 2, Philip Kraus, Doug Denice, and Tim Rengers in the 70. Once again, 3 Subarus and a Ford, so it's flipped from last race. Rengers looks like he has a little bit of an issue over the jump in the 70. We'll take him out of it. And longtime privateer Doug Denice in 3rd. It's going to be interesting to see what the Grid Kings driver, Marwan Mafta, can do in car number 191. First time we've seen a triple-digit number in a couple seasons now. And Philip Kraus back in car number 1. Looks like he struggled through the dirt there. On to the front straightaway. And to end the first lap here in Daytona, Philip Kraus is getting close, but Mafta will lead. 3rd place still Denice, and Rengers in 4th. As these guys are getting so close to those tire barriers, but you have to get close in order to be fast. And Philip Kraus holding second, pressuring Mafta on the 191. But he was certainly quick, was the Egyptian. Into the hairpin, defending will be the Grid Kings driver. And back onto the asphalt. A lap and a half done, and the action has ramped up. This is getting entertaining as these guys are massively quick. Mafta to the Joker. So let's see what this will do to the strategy as he still holds the lead as we begin the 3rd lap of the race. Kraus is getting close in the 1. And you notice so much quicker, so much more tidier, I should say, over the jump was the 191 versus the 1. And onto the asphalt again. Denice holds 3rd, and Rengers in 4th. Mafta likes to defend the inside line in that hairpin, and then the second and the final corner, the first hairpin. Very defensive driving, not a bad strategy, but he's losing a little bit of time. And I believe Kraus way late on the brakes and send the 1 off the track. It's cross flags for Mafta, and I think Kraus was pushing too hard to try and get this quarterfinal win. But the 191 will hold the lead through the dirt once again. He slides it and into the wall goes the 191. Looks like he stalled the car as he refires it. As not really sure what's going on here, but he finally restarts the car. Denice went off the track as well, so we'll put the 1 through the lead. As very confusing as contact with Denice and Rengers. Didn't do any harm, but certainly little close quarters here. 2 to go now for Philip Kraus, a familiar face at the top of the pylon. It looked like Moftog just hit the tires, looped it, stalled the car, off the track goes Kraus into the tire barrier. He ran it off and stalled it, refired it, backed it up, and stalled the car again. So we'll try and follow that story through, but Moftog back to second. And the two-time defending champion, Philip Kraus, will lead us coming to the white flag in Daytona. And I do believe he won a quarterfinal here last season. He won the first quarterfinal last season at Daytona, but he will take the white flag, leading the second quarterfinal. Interestingly, his teammate did not win the quarterfinal last season. Remember, they were battling to the death together in that race. Mertz had to win the semifinal. We will see the second MRT car in just a moment or two, but we'll have to wait for Philip Kraus in car number 1 to finish up. Back onto the asphalt. Moftog clawing that gap back, but he is still in second. Third is Denice, and Rengers in the 70 has parked it. Jokering is the one of Philip Kraus. And it's Subaru 2 for 2 so far as he wins the second quarterfinal. A familiar name at the top of the pylon. Moftog, after that strange incident, comes home in second. Denice Joker's on the final lap to come home third, and Rengers is fourth. So Wetz, Harberts, Mertz, and Cody Erdman. They're not teammates anymore, but we've certainly seen an interesting battle getting ready to go for the third quarterfinal here in Daytona. It's 3 Fords and a Subaru as another mixed bag of race. We still don't have a Volkswagen yet, but another 6-lap race awaits us. Long wait time for the lights, revving them up, getting ready to go. Green flag, and off the line, it's going to be Wetz with the whole shot in the 23, leading us to turn 1. As the newcomer goes off the track, this feels a lot like past season. Wetz leads at the start of the race. It's Mertz, Erdman, and Harberts in the 80 over the jump for the first time. And now we get to see the longtime drivers compete against each other. It's Revolution Racing versus MRT, and I have waited so long to say that line. Back onto the oval. For the short jog, it's Wetz leading Mertz. And where have we seen that before? Erdman in third. Nostalgia coming back and hitting us in the face over the last 6 years. As what a transition so far, and we haven't even gotten to the semifinals yet. Wetz will lead us at the end of the first lap. Mertz, Erdman, and Harberts, the running order. And this jump, very tricky to do in either car. Remember, Volkswagen does offer the Beetle, but interestingly, Wetz goes off the track. That's irrelevant to the car selection. Mertz takes the lead. And we've seen those two check each other off the track before, and it has not changed. Wetz looks like he's going to get passed by Erdman. Back to the car discussion as Harberts looks on Erdman. Volkswagen does offer the Beetle. There were no teams electing to take the Beetle, so it's Ford versus Subaru for the first round of the championship. We do have a couple privateers like Jacob Kraus returning to the championship. I believe he is going to be running the Volkswagen Beetle, but we have not seen the Wisconsin native on track yet in 2018B. Over the jump goes everyone. Looks like you have to hit that jump straight, otherwise you're going to go off the track. Speaking of, Mertz has a little bit of an issue in the 2. As we're on lap number 3 coming across flags, Erdman getting swallowed up by Harberts in the 80. Not really sure what's happening to Erdman, but we can ignore everything I just said as Harberts hit the tire barrier and struggling in the 80 to get back going. So now, these guys, these 3, were with us since round number 3 in 2012. Cross flags for Mertz in car number 2. And there was a big concern that NASA would not have the teams and the drivers to even last one season back in 2012. We're on season number 16, 6 years after that very first race in Croft in the United Kingdom. It was interesting as Josh Mertz approached Dylan Livengood in July of 2012 and said, hey, I want to make a Rallycross series. They came together, the manufacturers came together, the drivers came together. We had 9 cars that afternoon. And to have this field be this strong after this amount of years is incredible. 2 to go for Mertz in car number 2 in the quarterfinal. As I do believe he has not jokered, nor has Wetz, nor has Erdman as he lands it! And Erdman does a complete barrel roll. Cue up the Star Fox sound effect. Slammed into the tire barrier, and he's back rolling again. Cody Erdman, always the man, along with Wetz really, to have crazy things happen to him in NASA Rallycross. Past the pits, past my commentary position, right at that iRacing Rallycross gantry, through the Joker goes Mertz, covering Wetz, white flag for the German. Wetz holds the second position. Like I said, though, that spot means nothing. Erdman jokers. And Harbert's going by in the 80 there for Last Lap Motorsports, the privateer entry. Looks like Wetz spun it, I do believe, or got a little bit loose as Mertz looks like he locks up the rear tires in the 2, as Wetz does spin in the 23, as he has to joker, but we can take him out of the equation. And if we ignore that Connor Parise won the first quarterfinal, this has been the last 2 seasons or 3 seasons all over again. Mertz wins quarterfinal 3, celebrating with his team opening the door. To the final he goes. Wetz looks like he had an issue through the chicane there. He will not come home in second. Actually, he does have the joker. We'll have to see. No. Erdman second. Wetz third. Harbert's fourth. What a first round of races here in Daytona. Livengood, Harbert's, Kingsbury, Wetz, 4 laps in Daytona. The winner transfers. Green flag. Harbert's gets a huge jump in car number 80 over his teammate Matt Kingsbury. Then it's the Revolution Racing team. So it's a lot like Revolution Racing and Revolution Junior that we had a couple seasons ago. There are 2 main last lap cars, and Harbert is the privateer. Kingsbury runs it wide again on the start, nearly making contact with Livengood in the 51, as this is an all-Ford semifinal, as 3 Subarus swept the quarterfinal races a couple moments ago. Wetz and Livengood still making contact after 6 years, and Wetz is into the tire barrier in the 23. As Livengood in the 51, trying to keep up, and he looks like he hits the wall, and Revolution Racing is crippling itself like they have before. I think you could take him out of the semifinal. Harbert's will lead at the end of the first lap, and we're going to see the Joker begin to unravel, as his teammate Matt Kingsbury in the second spot. Harbert's holds the lead. Remember, no bonus points to the semifinal winners with this current format. Previously, the semi and the quarterfinal winners, but only the quarterfinal winners, as the points will be adjusted for next week's race in Phoenix. Tire barrier in the middle of the road there. Marshals will not bother with that anymore. We used to be super responsible to make sure that everything's out of the way, but the marshals make sure nobody crashes into it. Cross flags for Harbert's. As Kingsbury looks like he had a little bit of an issue entering the Joker. He missed it. He's in second still, but I think there's some wheel damage on the 21 car. And definitely the toe has been knocked out. You can notice that it's pointing towards the right more. Wetz is in third, Livengood in fourth. Harbert's is out and away, the only one to not have an issue here in Daytona in the semifinal so far. Tire barrier still in the center of the track. I think Kingsbury was surprised by it. He went to avoid it and looped it. We'll have to take another look in just a moment. Off the final corner, white flag for Jacob Harbert's in the semifinal in Daytona. Can the American hold off his teammate and the Revolution Racing teammates? He's got a huge gap as Wetz jokers and gets by Kingsbury. Livengood still in the fourth spot. As you notice that rough transition, as they cut through the road course there, they bounce up and down on the concrete, the asphalt. It's a very tricky transition. We saw Wetz get spit off a couple moments ago. but Harberts controls the car very nicely through the chicane, down to the hairpin in the Daytona road course. He's beginning a forward sweep of the semifinals. Harberts wins and goes to the final in Daytona. Looks like Wetz will bring it home in the second spot. To the LCQ for the first time in a long time goes Chris Wetz in car number 23. And living good in the 51 as well. First time back in several weeks. And it looks like Kingsbury had another issue in the 21 car. We'll take a look in just a moment and see what happened. So from high above, Kingsbury in the 21 cuts the grass, which is legal, but I think he got too much of it. He slid. I'm not really sure what happened in the 21. Looks like he hit the brakes to try and take it to the Joker, and I think he might have damaged the car previously because it just sent him off the track. Denice, Erdman, Mofta, and Ray Kingsbury for the second semifinal in Daytona. 3 Fords and a Subaru, lights out, and away we go. And off the line, looks like Kingsbury and Denice missed the start. It's going to be Mofta v. Erdman through turn number 1. Will the two-time champion get him? No! The newcomer Mofta beats Erdman to begin the first lap of the race. Over the jump for the first time. Looks like Erdman had an issue through the chicane, allow Kingsbury to close up. But the Subaru leads the 3 Fords through the double apex dirt, through the rough transition of the road course, and onto the oval once again. Erdman runs it wide in the 52 and slams it into the tire barrier once again, giving the Area 52 boys much more work than they thought they'd have. Marshall still haven't moved that tire barrier. That's not very safe. Not sure if race control is going to go yell at them. We haven't heard anything over the scanner. But Mofta leads at the end of the first lap. Kingsbury in second, Denice third, and Erdman still struggling in the 52. Let's go take a look here. Looks like Erdman has thrown it off as Denice loops it in the 10. So we can take them out of it. Mofta leads Kingsbury. Two of the newcomers, Ford v. Subaru, Egypt v. United States. Coming across flags. Mofta looped it in the quarterfinal, and he gave up that win to Philip Kraus, but he jokers on the second lap of the race, cross flags. And it's going to be interesting to see as he runs it a little bit wide in the 191. That gives the Delta away to Kingsbury, but Kingsbury has not jokered yet. This is getting fascinating for the lead in the semifinal. We're coming to the white flag in Daytona. And remember, this is the last race before the LCQ, and you know these guys don't want to get stuck in the LCQ. On to the road course once again. Down the front straightaway past the grid, past the pits. Will Kingsbury joker? Yes. Let's see what the delta is from 25 to 191. He takes the lead of the semifinal. 1 lap to go. Over the jump. He has the lead. Mofta jokered already. The delta was gone after he ran it wide. Mofta did in the chicane. It's going to be all down to the Ford Power v. Subaru Power. Constructor v. Privateer. It's Last Lap Motorsports versus the Grid Kings. Into the oval. Much wider line for Kingsbury than Mofta. As remember, the 191 been very defensive into the hairpins. Onto the road course past the grid for the final time. I think it's going to be a Ford sweep of the semifinals. What a manufacturer duel. Kingsbury wins the semifinal in Daytona, followed by Mofta. Third is Denice, and fourth is Erdman. This is going to be a very interesting LCQ. 3 cars transfer. Erdman, Mofta, Kingsbury, Livingood, Wetz, and Denice. 4 regulars and 2 newcomers. 3 laps and only 3 cars transfer, and you have to take the joker once. This is going to be good. Revving them up. Lights are getting ready to extinguish for the LCQ here in Daytona. Green flag off the line. Mofta and Erdman get a great jump over the rest of the field into the first corner. Very cautious, giving each other room. Marwan Moftah will lead at the beginning of the first lap. It's Kingsbury versus Erdman, and Erdman looks like he wheel hopped on the curb. So Wetz gets by him. Denice runs it wide, looks like he misses the jump, so put him to 6th. As we have lost Tim Rengers, I believe the Subaru mechanics found something on car number 70. He did not participate in the semifinal, and he will not participate in the LCQ. He finishes in the 12th spot. So one spot is settled already. Now we're racing for 9th through 11th. Kingsbury in the 21. Wetz is jokered on the first lap of the race. He is disqualified in Daytona. 2 to go for Moftah. Wetz has to park the car, so now we put Dylan Livengood in the transfer spot, and Wetz is heated. I just saw him open the door and throw his helmet. Kingsbury looped it through the chicane once again. He's battling with Denice for 4th, but that 4th spot does not matter. We're coming to the white flag. You only have 2 opportunities to joker. It's lap 2 or lap 3. Wetz, out of the veterans of this series, made that mistake, and he finishes 11th. Let's see who will joker on the second lap with the first opportunity. Marwan Moftah does in the 191. Clear out and away from the rest of the field. He leads on the last lap of the LCQ. This is who we're going to focus on. This journeyman, Dylan Livengood, who was injured for the last 4 weeks and been recovering from that concussion and whiplash. His speech is very affected, but boy, he can still drive a race car. And he's in 3rd and holding that transfer spot. Kingsbury looped it. It was Matt Kingsbury looped it on the first lap of the race. Denice is in 10th. Currently 5th in the LCQ. Moftah holds the lead. Erdman 2nd. You see Livengood there in 3rd. Kingsbury 4th. 5th is Denice. But Moftah wins the LCQ. Erdman comes home in 2nd. And Livengood brings it home in 3rd. And he transfers in his first race back. Best of the rest is Kingsbury in the 21. Then Denice, Wetz, and Rengers. Wow. This is going to be great. We've been excited for months for this moment. It's going to be a Subaru front row. Paris, red plate holder Kraus, defending champion. Mertz in the 2. Back row of the grid. So we're getting it all formed up. Our biggest final in quite a few seasons, I believe, since 2016 A Aspen when we had 8 cars. Looks like Kingsbury will line up behind Paris. Moftah will line up behind Mertz. And then we're going to have Jacob Harberts. On the back row of the grid will be Livengood and Cody Erdman. The excitement is very genuine inside of this Automotive Sports Network commentary box, as for so many seasons we went to the track and wondered, are we going to have a full race today? We saw a couple seasons ago we had only a few cars. We saw last season we ran a couple races with only 6 cars. But now, hopefully, in the next couple weeks, we will have a full grid of 16 cars. But I'll tell you what, 17 cars registered and 12 to show up for the first race. It's not bad for once. After this series used to pull 16 to 18 cars a week after what happened 5 years ago. It's been a hell of a ride, and hopefully we can have 5 more years of the Automotive Sports Network covering NASA RallyCross. But right now, Paris, Kraus, Mertz, Erdman, Kingsbury, Harberts, Moftah, and Livengood will battle for 8 laps here at Daytona. It's round number 1 of 2018B. It's lights out, and away we go, and off the line, Paris and Mertz will battle to turn 1. Contact between them, and Mertz and Paris are off the track. It's going to give Marwan Moftah the lead beginning the first lap of the race. Harberts is 2nd. 3rd will be Kingsbury. 4th is Kraus. 5th is Livengood. 6th is Erdman. 7th is Paris. Tire barrier went Kingsbury. Paris and Mertz, 7th and 8th. I'm not sure what happened, but it looks like Mertz just veered into Connor Paris. We'll have to take another look in just a couple moments. This is what we've been waiting for. What a battle already in the final here in Daytona. Moftaw, who won the LCQ, will lead us, and he will joker. No, he does not, but he does run that defensive line. Remember, no jokers on the first lap of the race. He does lead us, crosses off the road at the end of lap 1. Moftaw leads Harberts, and Ray Kingsbury is your tentative podium. Living Good is in 4th. 5th is Erdman. 6th is Kraus, Paris, and Mertz. They are closing up to these guys, but Living Good is much slower than the rest of the field. He was mentioning a comment before he strapped into this Ford. He is mentally drained, and his lap time shows at 44.214. Erdman ran a 44.3, but he is stuck behind the 51. And this could possibly ruin these guys' races if they can't get by the 51. Kraus in the 1. 52, contact with Paris, and send Erdman off the road. And send him to 7th. Moftaw and Harberts jokered at the end of the 2nd lap, as we're already on lap number 3. Kingsbury still in 3rd. And let's go back to the back of the field. Kingsbury, Kraus, Paris is by Living Good. Now Mertz has to get by his friend and rival in car number 51 to car number 2. Very close to making contact. Mertz isn't very happy at himself. He came over the scanner and said, I don't know what that was. He just veered into Paris in the 11th. 7th is Mertz. 8th is Erdman. Back to the sharp end of the field. Moftaw jokers again. So we will begin lap number 4. The cross flags lap. And Marwan Moftaw's strategy he's shown his hand. And I'm not sure what's going to happen here. Harberts, Kingsbury. Kraus has rallied to 4th. Paris is super quick back in 5th. And Mertz is going to have to try it on Living Good again. Erdman back in 8th. Let's see if Mertz can take the fight to his friend again. Side by side is Ford v Subaru. Revolution versus MRT. Is he going to take it to the inside? Yes, he does. Position change, 2 in 51. There was one car off the road, it looked like. As my mistake there. Jokering is Harberts. Cross flags in Daytona. Side by side into the lead contact. And Moftaw holds it. This is getting great in Daytona. And Jacob Harberts really tried to take the lead there. Kraus is off the road in the 1. Paris is going to pass him. What a battle for the top end of this field. Harberts in 2nd. Nearly contact between Paris and Kingsbury. Nearly shoved each other into the wall. Kraus is in 5th. Inside goes Kraus on Kingsbury. Position change potentially. 1 and 25. Yes, he gets it done. Remember, Kraus has a 29 podium streak. 29 times on the podium in a row. That's in jeopardy today. This is getting good. Kingsbury now in 3rd as Moftaw begins with 3 laps to go. Paris is gaining on everybody else so much quicker than the rest of the field. Kraus hits the tire barrier, shoves it out into the middle of the track. Kingsbury runs it wide, and Paris is up to 3rd. Looks like Kingsbury had an issue there in the 25. Mertz is 6th, 7th is Erdman, and 8th is Living Good, struggling in the 51. We're coming to 2 to go here in Daytona for Marwan Moftaw on what a hot and scorching afternoon in Daytona for NASA Rallycross. 2 to go for the Egyptian. Kraus holds 2nd, so I might have spoke too early. I think Kraus might be able to hold this podium streak, but we'll have to see. I spoke too soon. Commentators curse for car number 1, and he sends it off the road. And I know Philip Kraus is not one for records, but 29 races in a row he was on the podium. He has not experienced a non-podium finish since 2017A. I believe it was Negus, 2017A, as he did not race in Great Britain 2017B. That doesn't matter. White flag for Marwan Moftaw for the Grid Kings. The Egyptian got the jump on the start after Paris and Mertz clashed in turn 1. Paris is back to 2nd, but he's only taken 1 joker. Kingsbury in 3rd, 4th is Harberts, 5th is Erdman, 6th is Kraus, 7th is Mertz, but he has not taken to the penalty box, so I think if he does not penalty box this time, penalty box right on the left there of that shot, If he does not penalty box, we will put the 2 back to 7th. Final corner for Marwan Moftah. Cue the confetti and the pyro. The Egyptian will win the first race of the Gen 4 regulations. Moftah wins. Jokering was Paris, but he comes home second. Third is Harbert. Fourth is Kingsbury. The podium streak is over. Fifth is Kraus. Sixth is Mertz. Seventh is Erdmann. And as Livengood will come home in 8th on the track, our updated timing and scoring: Moftah, Harbert, Kingsbury, Kraus, Erdmann, Livengood, Mertz, and Paris. What a race in Daytona. Matt Kingsbury, Denice, Wetz, and Rengers were 9th through 12th. Points are how they finished. We have a first-time winner in NASA Rallycross, the first Egyptian winner, and the 29-race podium streak for Philip Kraus is over. And we do this all over again in 1 week in Phoenix. What a season so far, and we've only got through 1 race weekend. We hope you enjoyed today's coverage of the NASA Rallycross Challenge here in the Automotive Sports Network. We hope to see you 1 week from now in Avondale, Arizona, at the Phoenix International Raceway. But until then, so long, everyone.